to the Democratic Party. I'm voting for Trump, but I have to say, you guys got me on this one. You're correct. I can definitely see that Trump is causing division. You guys have said over and over, you said, how can you as a Christian support somebody like Trump when all he's here to do is cause division and separation? And you're right. So let me read something to you. This is Luke 12:51-56. And this is Jesus speaking in the Bible. Do you think that I have come to bring peace to this earth? No, I tell you, but rather division. From now on, 5 in one household will be divided, 3 against 2 and 2 against 3. They will be divided, father against son and son against father, mother against daughter and daughter against mother, mother-in-law against daughter-in-law and daughter-in-law against mother-in-law. He also said to the crowds, when you see a cloud rising in the west, you immediately say, it's going to rain, and so it happens. And when you see the south wind blowing, you say, there will be a scorching heat, and it happens. But you are hypocrites. You know how to interpret the appearance of earth and sky, but why do you not know how to interpret the present time? This may have been written thousands of years ago, but make no mistake that this is for now. You see a man running for president with his own money, his own funds. You see a man that for some reason, all of the government, all of the media, all of the corporations have turned against him. You, with your own mouths, have said that he's here causing division. You, with your own eyes, have seen full-on Democrats switch to his side. You, with your own eyes, have seen 2 assassination attempts. You, with your own eyes, can see now that there is a complete separation with how people are voting. We're not voting red or blue anymore. It is obvious that we are now voting good and evil. We are now voting for God's laws or against God's laws. And it says it right here. When Jesus came the first time to die for our sins, he did not come to bring peace. He came to cause a division, to make there be a choice. You had a choice to choose the living God standing right in front of you or to choose the enemy. He made it clear. He made it obvious. He stated who he was. He stated what he stood for. And here we are again. And if you look at the policies, then you see who stands for God with their policies. It has become very clear which side is good and which side is evil. You can talk about Trump all you want to, but it's not about Trump. It's about the choice to stand for God's laws or against God's laws. It's about the choice to stand for evil or against evil. It's obvious to see who the evil side is. And this is not to say that the Republican side is perfect. However, this is to show that the heart of the Republican side is for the laws of God. We are against the evil policies of the Democratic side. We are against the evil policies of Satan. We are against the evil policies of the satanic ways of the Democratic side, which have become very obvious. You, with your own mouths, have stated that Trump is here causing division. And best believe that is exactly what God is using him for. He is using Trump to make the division very easy to see for everybody. If you don't see it, you better start praying now. We're rising up now. We've sat here long enough. And the time is coming. You are seeing prophecy be fulfilled right in your face. You are seeing a division happening right now. And pretty soon a harvest will begin. A separation of the wheat and the tares. A collection of the people who are for God. Believe me or don't believe me. It's not my job to force you to believe anything. However, I'm going to make sure that you have no excuse to say that you didn't know. It's coming, y'all. Be ready.
Hey friend, my husband told me to do this. So if she's driving by herself, you go through the door handle and nobody can get in. It's a good tip.
The following is a mandatory tinfoil hat zone. I've been going back to the guy that shot up the Trump Hotel back in 2018 and listening to the interview he gave in the hospital before he was put in jail. And we're about to go Diddy, the rap industry, drug smuggling, but also Trump, Obama, Hillary, human trafficking, the Black Boule, everything. This shit is so wild, and it's gonna take multiple videos to parse out. We're talking about this guy, Jonathan Odie. And way back in 2018, before the Cassie lawsuit, before the Lil Rod lawsuit, before they raided Diddy's home, before they arrested Diddy, he claimed that he was a Diddy sex slave and that he had sex with Cassie and Diddy multiple times. He claims he contracted herpes, he sued them, he won. He claims they're gonna try to kill Trump and he's trying to warn Trump. He claims a lot of things. And some of them are just out there, but some of them have been directly corroborated by things we've learned since. And in this first video, we're gonna dig into what he calls the hip hop agenda. But first, if you're not familiar with what happened and what this dude did to get arrested, let's watch a tape. So this is security camera footage from Trump National Hotel, Doral, Miami, Florida. And this is from back in 2018. And it's sped up, and there's a couple places where the stamp time lapses, and I won't show you the whole thing. But basically, this guy, Jonathan Odie, walks in with a gun. Somewhere he's got, this is it just time lapsed, he's got a giant American flag. He drapes it all across the counter. He's pulls down the chandelier, he said. He shoots some rounds at the ceiling, and then he basically just stands there and waits for police to come. He smashes some shit for apparently no reason, like just committing crimes for the sake of committing crimes, apparently. And then he just stands around with a gun, and now the cops are outside, and he's like kind of giving up and surrendering, but maybe they're not realizing it or accepting it. So then he pulls out a gun, starts shooting at them, doesn't hit any of them as far as I'm aware. He runs out of bullets or something. Not sure what happens exactly, but at a certain point, he decides it's time to book it, and he runs. He gets shot 3 times in the leg during this exchange, slips, keeps running, runs up the stairs, and then in this upper room, he eventually is just like, eh, fuck it. And he gives up, puts the gun down, moves some furniture, lies down on the ground, and surrenders. And he's got bullet wounds in his leg. And then he gets interviewed by Secret Service in the infirmary before he gets sent off to prison or jail or wherever. And he says some wild shit. The total interview is 33 minutes long, and I spent like 3 hours last night transcribing it all and trying to figure out his voice because he's got a super weird voice. And I've been digging through corroborating all the crazy things he says in this interview. But one of the most interesting things is about the hip-hop agenda. Before we get to that, let's do the Diddy stuff, because he made all these claims before anyone officially knew anything about Diddy. Check this out.
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself.
Yeah. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard lots of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all right? I caught herpes. And I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. But they did Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leon's here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so.
Looking into the lawyers he just named, there's all kinds of dirt down that rabbit hole, but that's for another video. But when you watch the interview, you can tell that the investigators are like, this guy's fucking schizophrenic. What the hell is he talking about? And he like keeps on trying to like redirect him without making him feel defensive, as though they don't believe him. But now we know that what he said about Diddy was 100% on point. Like in a way that you could only know if you actually were a Diddy sex slave. Because if you don't know, Diddy liked to pay sex workers to have sex with his girlfriend, and he would watch and film and direct and jerk off, as well as a whole bunch of other super dark shit. Now, let's get into the juicy part right here. The hip-hop agenda.
Basically, what happens is the hip-hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs all over the United States. You need to invoke the DEA. They move all the dope, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs,
by DEA,
okay.
inside the United States. They move what's called high-grade powder, MDMA. They move cocaine, and they move liquid cocaine in the bottles too. So they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I've seen the liquid cocaine. I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. It's not good. He drinks it all the time. He calls it GG, but it's liquid cocaine.
All right.
How do I know there's a conspiracy against Trump? Because it's in the Illuminati card deck. He should read it.
Okay, we're about to go into the Illuminati card deck and all sorts of other things. That's for another video. And yes, we're going to have a disclaimer about the amount of tinfoil required for this in just a second. But first, Sigma Pi Phi, or the Black Boule, is the oldest black fraternity in the United States. And this is its symbol, and it's a real thing. And it used to be kind of a secret society, and now it's like a public fraternity all across the US. And that symbol looks an awful lot like LeBron's chest tattoo. For starters, the Black Boule deserves a whole other video, as does LeBron James. But y'all remember Juice WRLD, who died suddenly of a heart attack during a police raid on his plane where they found 41 vacuum sealed bags of marijuana? Died of a heart attack during the raid. Kind of weird. He was 21 years old at the time. And there are many instances of people getting caught smuggling drugs on private planes. All of these guys apparently did not have the protection of the rap industry or the Black Boule or whoever. I'm serious, tons of different instances. But it gets even more interesting when you look at what rappers own private jets. We'll skip to number 2, Diddy, whose plane is renowned for its intercontinental range. But number 1 is Jay-Z, and it was a gift from Bay, meaning probably a tax write-off because they're pretty smart business people. Then you got Drake, who aside from a Russian oligarch, Saudi Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, at least formerly before they confiscated it, whole other Vegas shooting rabbit hole, Drake's plane is one of the 5 largest private jets in the world at the time in 2023. Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, who is mentioned in this interview directly, 50 Cent, and Travis Scott. There's probably more. That's just who was in that one article. And speaking of liquid cocaine, Ciroc Vodka and De Leon Tequila are mentioned multiple times in the original lawsuit, and they had partnerships directly with Diddy. But it's hard to tell what of this guy's testimony is him knowing things from firsthand knowledge versus him self-admittedly just doing a whole bunch of internet research and piecing things together and deciding to save the world by warning Donald Trump about a plot to kill him by his cousins, all the other presidents, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. And if you're a real conspiracy nut, you might be like, yeah, dude. And if you're not, you might be like, yeah, this guy's fucking crazy. And you might fall somewhere in the middle, and that's okay. But it's pretty fun to think about. So yeah, more coming soon.
Know what your plan is to help lower the cost of living.
Yeah, first of all, thank you both for being here. And yours is a story I hear around the country as I travel. And in terms of both rightly having the right to have aspirations and dreams and ambitions for your family and working hard and finding that the American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive than it's been. And we need to deal with that. And there are a number of ways. One is bringing down the cost of everyday necessities, including groceries.
In San Diego, we had an exponential increase in significant interest aliens. These are aliens with significant ties to terrorism. Prior to this administration, the San Diego sector averaged 10 to 15 SIA arrests per year. Once word was out the border was far easier to cross, San Diego went to over 100 SIAs in 2022, well over that in 2023, and even more than that registered this year. These are only the ones we caught. At the time, I was told I could not release any information on this increase in SIAs or mention any of the arrests. The administration was trying to convince the public there was no threat at the border. Fentanyl is another issue. The San Diego area sees between 80 and 90% of the methamphetamine and fentanyl seizures annually for our entire country. With little enforcement at the border, these drugs were coming through en masse. During my last year in San Diego, the price for a single pill of fentanyl, for example, went from $10 to 25 cents. To make matters worse, during 2022 and 23, I had to shut down San Diego traffic checkpoints, which are critical for drug interdiction, because the resources had been diverted to the process and release mission. The large numbers also had and still have a negative impact on the San Diego community. I had to release illegal aliens by the hundreds each day into communities who could not support them. To quiet the problem, 2 flights a week were provided from San Diego to Texas. These flights simply brought aliens that would have been released in San Diego over to Texas. Each flight cost approximately $150,000. This was the administration's way to try and quiet the border-wide crisis.